Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dragon Talk again. We are here. I am Greg Tito, and we have Shelly.
Yep.
Hi, Shelly.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. It was like a whole hour.
It was like a whole hour. And we, of course, have Carlos Luna on the line. Hello, Carlos.
Woo!
How
Hey,
are
guys.
you? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You are. I want you to introduce yourself to the audience here. What is it? What is it that you do that is amazing?
What? Oh God, I make great quiche.
Nice.
I have a great telephone voice. No, I play Dungeons and Dragons on a podcast called The Dungeon Rats. I am also a producer on in a collective with a bunch of other people that make audio dramas like God's Fall and Neon Rival Presents, this Starfleet Engage, stuff like that.
Engage.
I'm an improviser, musician.
Do it
A lot
all.
of things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's all in the Chicago area. Is that right?
Yeah, all in Chicago. I was born and raised in Chicago.
Really?
I'll never leave here.
Never.
You love it that much?
Yeah, I do. I feel like, I've been to other places, and so I was in a band, and I was signed, and I used to tour a lot, and I've been all over the United States. And I feel like there's a lot of other cities that there's a lot to do, and sunshine would be a plus, but I feel like
It's overrated.
Chicago is a very livable city, It's a very livable city for an artist, I guess, where there's still like culture everywhere, and it doesn't hurt so much your pocketbook, I guess.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You got to deal with the cold winters. That's about the only
Oh my
downside.
God.
That's the worst.
But you're probably used to it. Do you get used to
Yeah.
that?
I don't know. I don't think you ever get used to it. Yeah, I think you just find different ways to complain about it in different situations.
Yeah.
It is
really
like
what it is.
an ungodly cold that you think like, oh, I'll be fine. And it's like nothing you've ever experienced when
It's
that wind blows.
yeah.
It's in a plane of pure cold.
I was there
Yeah.
in December once, and my left eye never stopped tearing. It was just even indoors. I'm like, it's still crying. Like I can't make it stop.
Yeah.
It was so cold.
I went on tour to Chicago, and it was the same thing. Where
On
it was
tour?
January. Yeah, it was tour. It was a little dance show that went to like 4 places. So it wasn't really like a real
Were
tour.
you dancing? in
I
the
was not.
dance
I was
show?
stage managing.
Oh.
I was stage managing. Yeah, we were in like the Wrigleyville area for a week, and I was like, "This is like I liked the area. I loved where we were, but it had like just snowed like a couple of days before we got there, so there were these huge embankments everywhere, and of course these little dancers were trying to like get around. And I was like,
yeah.
"Oh my gosh, it was horrible."
No, that's
Yeah.
not good. Have you
Yeah.
ever eaten at the Green Zebra?
The green. No, never heard of it. Where's the green zebra?
It's vegetarian,
Okay.
but it's out
I like
like meat eaters love this place. I
That's
don't know
cool.
what neighborhood it is, but it's just so good.
You know, that's the thing with Chicago is that it's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, near stuff.
Yeah. Chicago's great. It's like 20 minutes to everywhere. Like 20 minutes to everywhere in traffic with or CTA or any type of public line, Uber. It somehow always takes 20 minutes, whether it's on the other side of the city or really close to 20 minutes.
Do you
every
live
single
right
time.
in the city?
I live in Logan Square. So like the thing about like Chicago is like people are like, oh, a lot. Well, first, I don't know how I'm talking about Chicago, but yeah, I love Chicago.
It's D&D
I love
related.
Chicago,
It's
too.
people need to know about different areas so that they can describe it for their game.
So one of the things that like piss off everyone who actually lives in Chicago is that all the people that live in the suburbs surrounding Chicago say
Right.
that they're from Chicago. It's like the number one thing. So they'd be like, "Oh, where are you from?" Chicago. "Oh, what part?" They're like, "Schaumburg." And it's
Right.
like that would get a big laugh in Chicago.
We were laughing inside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Naperville.
So,
Naperville, they say that a lot too. They're like, "Oh yeah, Naperville." I'm like, "No,
Naperville.
that's not."
Yeah. That doesn't really count. But I live in Logan Square, which is just outside. It's funny because the city gets downtown Chicago is where everyone really thinks where the skyscrapers are. That's Chicago, but really Chicago is just all the tiny little neighborhoods that surround the
Yeah.
downtown area.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you were saying it takes 20 minutes to get everywhere. I was thinking like, oh, that's kind of like a dungeon master just saying like, oh yeah, you make it, you're there already.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
We'll just speed
and
it
it's
up.
a grid too. It's a total grid, just like Dungeons and Dragons.
Like graph
yeah.
paper.
It's just like, it is with the diagonal streets going through, right? It's crazy.
Yep,
I will be in the
exactly.
Chicago suburbs in a couple of weeks, actually.
Oh, what suburb?
Libertyville.
Oh, that's way up there.
Yeah. So I'm not in Chicago.
John.
No, you know,
It's
that would get a big laugh.
That would get an even bigger laugh.
Yeah,
See,
Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine is from Libertyville. I think.
What?
You go
Really?
see him.
Yeah.
That's
Think
who I'm
so.
going to
Yeah, go see
see.
him. Knock on his door.
That's who I'm going to see.
That's who you toured with, right? All right. Now,
I love the suburb. I'm sorry, but I do love a good Chicago suburb because I'm
Yeah.
a fan of strip malls. Love them.
There's nothing but good stuff
And
there.
Panera Breads.
Like game stores. Game stores are in
Yes.
strip malls.
Yes.
And Panera Bread stores.
And Nordstrom Rack.
So you said you grew up in Chicago. When did you start playing Dungeons and Dragons? When you were growing up, or later?
Those cold
Oh,
winters.
yeah, real late in life. Maybe 3 years ago,
Oh.
2.5.
Well, you
Nice.
really jumped right
Something
in.
like that. Yeah, so I used to play. Growing up, I played Magic like crazy. Like I started playing Magic. God, I think during Revised or 4th edition or something like that. And I played for a very long time. And I always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, but it's the same story. It's like you don't know anyone who plays, or you don't have enough people like invested that want to know enough. You know. And in the 90s, we didn't have like. I guess, I don't know. As a kid in the 90s, you kind of didn't know, like, oh, you can find people online. That's stranger stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now it's so much easier. You can do all this stuff online. You can, like, connect with people and actually show up and have a game. I didn't have any of that. So I was in a band for a long time. And then when I was done with the band stuff, I started improvising. So doing improv, comedy at, like, Second City and I.O., places like that.
Nice.
And then, yeah, my friend Patrick was like, "Hey, do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons?" And I was like, "Yes, I've always wanted."
Finally.
It always seems so like difficult. It's not difficult. So he sat me down. He had a one shot. We had a one shot with a bunch of our friends, and I was just hooked. And I was like, "When can we play next? What can we do next?" So I played a bunch of like one shots with Patrick, and he had his own podcasting network at that time. He was doing podcasts, and he was just like, "Hey, you want to do a show with me?" And I'm like, yes, but I really just want to do a full campaign. So I'll do a show with you too. So yeah.
If that's what it takes, I'll do it.
In it to win it. Oh, so then when did you start producing that stuff? Along with, was it with him?
That was it. Yeah. So we started the Dungeon Rats, which.
That was the start of the Dungeon Rats?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I literally played like 3 games and I was hooked and I was like, let's invest hours and hours of time producing a show. And yeah, it was great because our cast is seasoned improvisers from Chicago, Second City, I.O.
Wait, what's I know Second City, but what's I.O.?
It's Improv Olympic.
Yes.
Yeah, they're legally not allowed to call it Improv Olympic anymore.
Yeah.
Olympic sued them. So everyone just calls it I.O. in the city.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, but no, I definitely heard about that when I was in New York and things like that. But yeah, I was like, I never got into that vein of performing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love improv. And Dungeons and Dragons just melds so well with improv.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes it to another level. It's great.
So did you, having that background of improvising, was it long form that you were doing, or? Yeah, so having that, like, did you feel like you knew 90% of what Dungeons and Dragons was about?
Yeah, I mean, doing long form lets you trust like the process. I feel like if I hadn't had an improv background, role playing would be a lot harder. I'm classic A-type personality, so like I love rules and I love the logistics of things and like measuring, figuring all that stuff out. I think if I didn't have improv, I would focus more on that. But improv allowed me to really develop characters and try out new voices and new mannerisms. And that like changes the game too. I think a big portion of the game is maybe not a big portion of the game, but a part of the game that you can focus on is the role-playing aspect of it. And I think it's really easy sometimes just to drill down on what you know, drill down on the rules and this and trying to get next level and level up and stuff like that. But there's something to be said about having like a nice conversation in character with someone else. And a lot of times the DM just like loves it, you know what I mean? Because they're sucked in too. And then you start discovering stuff that, you know, you might not have prior to that because you make a funny little joke or something like that. So I love focusing on the role-playing aspect of D&D the most.
That's super cool.
Yeah, there seems like, I mean, there's obviously a lot of crossover between improv and role-playing. But for people, a lot of times I've heard people are a little bit timid about playing D&D because they're worried about the role-playing part because they don't want to look like a fool or they don't know what they're going to say but what do you have pointers or tips for people who might be feeling a little bit shy about role-playing that you've picked up from improv along the way?
Yeah, 20 seconds. Give it 20 to 30 seconds. Just give it 20 to 30 seconds of whatever stupid voice that you have or idea or whatever little thing. If you could hold on for 20 seconds, everyone, the surprise from everyone else at the table will fade away and they'll start to believe it. So all you have to do is just believe it for 20 to 30 seconds. And I swear to God, it'll be so much easier. You don't have to think about, oh, well, I have to be in character for 7 minutes straight.
Right.
That's going to come really natural. Like it will, as long as you can make it past that 20 to 30 seconds. Because in that 20 and 30, you start protecting yourself and they start to know who these characters are. You know, when I say, I'm playing an elf. Cool. Well, you know, in your head, you start thinking of all the attributes that you know about an elf, everything from the book that you know, everything from like media and stuff that you know about elves. These are all the possibilities that go into your head. But what if I told you, like, I'm playing an elf and archetype wise, think of George Costanza from Seinfeld. That's completely different, right? Like,
right.
And once you have that information, or once I showed you that information, you know, like, oh man, I don't know what to do with my bows. What do I do with all these bows, Jerry? Like you will know exactly who that is, who that elf is right off the bat. And there's something in like improv and that lends itself to role playing like perfectly, which is specificity kills ambiguity. So the more specific we can be, with our characters, the less ambiguous the world will be and the more rich it will be as well.
Yeah, and then the inhibitions start to go away after a while, after those 20 or 30 seconds, right? So you're like, all right, well, it felt weird to start with a crazy voice, but then that becomes the more the reality the more you do it.
Yeah, and I think most people at the table might not feel natural doing that, but everyone at the table likes it when it happens, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone loves it when that happens, but for whatever reason, we feel like we can't be that person. I'm just saying, if you're at that table, go ahead and be that person. Give it 20 to 30 seconds.
I found it took me a long time to stop saying my character does or my character is instead of saying I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I would always catch myself saying like, oh, my character, like I always had that distance.
Like a separation.
Yeah, like, no, I'm not role playing. My character is.
No, that's not true.
But it's not at all. Not even a little. Yeah, so it does help even just to make that change of I'm going to break down this door or I'm going to try to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to the guard.
I love it too when people start to, because whenever you're going to do something in Dungeons and Dragons, you have to make a plan, right? And it usually ends up being players talking to each other about what their plan is going to be.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite, and you guys do this in Dungeon Rats a lot, where it's like we're the characters talking about the plan, and that's so much more entertaining and fun.
Yeah, and that also helps you with the metagame too. Like, if we all know what we're supposed to do, you know. There's a thing in improv where you want to be discovering and not creating. So I want to be discovering the room as this character would discover it and not inventing things. I feel like the entire group knows when something is wrong and when someone is not being truthful, when someone's trying to play the game in their favor. They kind of feel it. The whole game, and there might be like a twinge from the players or for the DM, and then the players and the DM kind of react in like, in kind of like a crappy way because they feel like you're being crappy, and you know, and it's all this And all this is in service of avoiding being the character or wanting to win or wanting to get whatever you want from it. But it's easier to fail when you're a character. I find it's easier to fail.
Right, because it's not you. It's not the choice that you're making. It's the one that your character's making.
Right.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people don't do this because maybe they had bad experiences with people like doing the exact opposite of that and like taking it too far, where they're like, oh, well, I'm chaotic neutral, so I'm just gonna ruin the game for everyone. Or I'm not gonna say yes to people. Like, just say yes to other people's ideas, and it'll make it a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So your producing skills are amazing. I've heard from Aram. Being able to put together everything. So we've had Aram Bartin on the podcast a couple times, I think, at this point. Yep. So I love what he did with God's Fall, and he was happy enough to join the Dungeon Rats at some point, right? When did that happen?
Yeah. So I didn't even know about God's Fall.
Until just now?
Yeah, just now.
I just learned about it.
Yeah, it's a bombshell right now.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I was driving around all day today. He didn't mention it.
That's so weird.
He's got a big tattoo right on his neck that says God's Fall. I never put two and two together.
Who knows what else he's keeping from you?
But no, he came in. We were making the cast for the Dungeon Rats, and we had one of our players was gonna take. He was doing like a poetry tour or something like that. So he was gonna be gone for a month. And Patrick's like, hey, my friend Aram plays Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, come on, bring him in. Let's start streaming. So we just started streaming, and then he mentioned that he had a podcast, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'll check it out. And I was trying to do around that time. We went from streaming to recording the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I was like deep into editing and like trying to get my own style because I had never done like an audio drama before. And it would have been really helpful if I would have listened to God's Fall ahead of time. And we both talk about it too. We're like, how did we not listen to each other's shows? Like, how did we not like start talking about this until like episode like 12 or something like that?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, I love producing. I love editing. I love like making the world and stuff like that.
And you're a composer too, right?
Yeah. So I had a little goal for myself, I guess, where I wanted to write the first season all with a synthesizer. So like no drums, no guitar, no anything like that. So I score the episode. So it starts off with me doing just synth, I think, for the first like 19 episodes, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And the music was just for the battle scenes, the encounters. And then it went to, composing the entire episode, where, strings and horns and drums and stuff like that.
That's really cool. And then, so the way you guys do it, you record and then you edit it up into a complete audio drama hour or so, right?
Yeah. So we record, so the thing with our show is we take suggestions from our listeners. So they send encounters, magical items, artifacts, NPCs, whatever they want. They can, email it to us, and our DM will try to like weave it into our story. And so we record that. We'll record like 6 microphones. We'll record for like 4 hours or something. And I'll go back and I'll edit it so it sounds like a movie, like an actual drama, like a written book, like someone actually wrote these lines. Mm-hmm. There's probably 80% of it is actual acting and playing, role playing, and then there's probably 20% which is just like us talk, cross talk, table talk, stuff like that. But usually if I'm leaving in table talk or cross talk, it's because it's really funny and entertaining. But
yeah, right. So it's not quite the same as like listening to a 4-hour session of someone playing without any of that in there. It's compressed, and it's like the best bits that you need to know.
Everything that I keep in is there for a purpose. So either it's story or it is entertaining. The story stuff, a lot of times I cut stuff out that are like dead ends. So if someone's playing and they try this and they try that and it doesn't go anywhere, then I cut it out. If it didn't help the story, you got to cut it out.
If it wasn't funny.
If it wasn't funny, if it wasn't entertaining. And I go back, I edit these episodes, I put in music, and then I put in sound effects and put in like atmosphere, like tones, like the cave or the forest or something like that.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So do you work with the players or the DM on like the story that you're trying to tell, or is it kind of like I'm the editor and I am going to make these executive decisions?
Kind of. I think everyone trusts me.
Okay.
When we first started, I sent them all the proofs. I was like, hey, check these out. Let me know. Like, usually, I guess the major problem would be like the stuff you say at a table with your friends. Make sure it doesn't get into the public. Like stuff that makes me look bad. You know, I'm not saying like bad stuff, just embarrassing stuff that we bring up, or you're just constantly razzing people, stuff like that.
Oh man, that smells gross. What did you just eat?
Well, no more lasagna for lunch, Tito.
Yeah, I would never do that to a player. They would hate me forever.
That's nice.
Good for you.
But yeah, no, story-wise, I mean, everyone was there. Everyone knows it happens. We take it as is. We don't backtrack. So it's, I mean, story-wise, no one really says anything. I mean, there's not a lot of, we don't do punch-ins. We don't go back on anything, really. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really interesting. And I like how it ends up being like a complete, you know, you keep saying the words audio drama, and that's really what it feels like.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like the long form of role playing or streaming like that is also popular right now.
Yeah, I had never listened. So the first time I listened to a podcast was around the same time I started playing Dungeons and Dragons too. So I hadn't even like really listened to podcasts, and I didn't even know what they were like, what an actual play would actually sound like going in. I assumed that everyone who had an actual play podcast was producing at this level, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just assumed, like, why not? Like, because you can, like, that would make it so interesting. Like, you have all the technology there, like, you have the sounds, like, just paint something. And I came from like a production side of it where I was a musician and I was in a studio a lot. So maybe that had a big part of it where you can like, oh, I can do this trick and that trick. But yeah, I just assumed every actual play was like this.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. That ended up being, I mean, you know, maybe it was good you were in a vacuum and didn't hear anything else. So you wouldn't realize you could just throw up the whole tape.
We would all be missing out.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you said you're part of a collective? Yeah.
So we decided to like join forces, basically, where we are already promoting each other because we're all friends. Like, I promote my friend's stuff. So we decided to just give it a name, and we're called Neon Rival. And the collective is basically, I've had a lot of questions from people like, how do I get on this collective? How do you, how do I get on your network and stuff like that? We're not a network. It's a group of friends that we all work closely with. So in order to get on Neon Rival, well, we had like a couple things that came to our mind. We were like, well, we have to know you. We have to like you because we want to keep this like our friends. I'm not concerned that you have a great podcast. Like, I want to know that you're a great person, Like, that's who I want to work with. I want to work with great people that are trying and that want to make great things in Chicago. Because also I want to be able to help them. So, go over to, even if it's just for support or helping them move, like I'm helping Aram move. I helped him move today.
That's awesome.
That is a good friend.
Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, that's what we want to do. And, so, and also if I'm in your show, I want you in my show too. So one of the things that we have for like new shows on Neon Rival is try to get 50% of your cast from people in Neon Rival that's already doing something.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because everyone wants to do stuff. Everyone wants to be in a project, and there's no need to like jumpstart a new show with new everyone and new this. Like, just have your friends there. Like, number one, you want it. We're friends with you, so that's number one. So I want to hang out with you. And we've found that like we've been able to move faster, produce more, and just like create more based on using those like 3 rules.
That's awesome. And so when we were trying to come up with another show for the Stream of Many Eyes, which is coming up, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, that's why I reached out to you guys, because you had this awesome collective, and I knew some other folks in the Chicago area, and we're commingling together.
Yeah,
to make,
it's great.
Rivals of Waterdeep.
Yeah. Oh, we can say it. We can say the
Sure,
name?
why not? Let's do it.
Oh,
We'll
that's awesome.
stick mostly with Rivals, but Rivals
Yeah.
is coming. We'll be introducing it even more at the Stream of Many Eyes. But let's give a little bit of a taste of what it's like putting this together with folks here in the Chicago area.
Yeah. So you had hit us up. You were interested in doing the show. We were like, yes, let's do it. We were looking for the new thing because we wanted to get into streaming anyways. We had planned, as luck would have it, it was all centered around this month, like having a studio and building a studio with a ROM this month. And then setting up like hardware and all that stuff. So it came at a perfect time. So yeah, Rivals of, yeah. I don't want to keep saying that. Yeah. But it is, there's 7 of us. We're all people of color, LGBTQ+, like people like, and some of us are very new to the game. I know like the other people you have reached out to, Brandon, Sharif, Cicero, and Tanya.
Yeah.
They all do separate stuff, but they come together collectively to play Spawn on Me, which is a streaming Twitch game show. Not game show, but
they talk about video games.
And
have great insight into just fans of that. And I've been listening to that podcast for a while, and I know Tanya DePass from I Need Diverse Games. She's actually been on the podcast here before. And I knew she played RPGs and was a huge RPG fan on the video game side as well as tabletop. And I was like, oh man, it would be great to get some of your friends who are on the Spawn on Me podcast, who I know have interest in some of those things, and introduce them to you and Aram and Serena, and kind of combine this into to have some new players, people who've never played Dungeons and Dragons before, as well as some veterans, and kind of put it in this mix. And you guys were all in the Chicago area, which that was like what cemented it to me, was like, oh yeah, they're all right close to each other.
Yeah, and that's really what happened. We have our first character build. We're going to do our big character build on a long night on Wednesday. Then we're going to test the stream out the following Friday. We've been talking about it, and I'm pretty excited about it. I wish I could talk more about it, but I can't.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about, but
there's a lot to talk about.
At the Stream of Many Eyes in June is when you're going to see this group kind of perform for the first time.
Whoa.
Yes, correct.
Which is going to be even more exciting.
Yeah.
I know, right?
The first time ever playing together?
Yeah, the first time. Well, no.
We're going to publicly.
Yeah, publicly. Yeah, we're going to play before that for sure.
Yeah.
Work out the kinks.
That's the way to do it. Right. And to do what you're talking about, like actually having friends that you know and trust, and then combine them with players who might be new and are interested in improv and things like that, and making it all happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said for like playing with different people at different levels of like Dungeons and Dragons too.
Yeah.
There's stuff that like I forgot when I was first learning how to play, and like it comes up and like, oh yeah, why would you know that? There's no reason for you to know that. And it's fun to see everyone discover it at a different rate. I don't know. It's great.
I love the fact that so many new people are jumping into Dungeons and Dragons for like the first time. It's like one of those moments that we're having where, like yourself, we're like, oh, I was interested but never had that someone reach out to me and be like, oh, come join this. And that's a lot of what, we're trying to do here at Dungeons and Dragons. Just like, yeah, just come on. Here's just a little prodding that you need. Here's a little prompt to get storytelling on your own, and making that happen. I keep saying making that happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
I was at the doctor's office the other day, and they had to draw blood. I had a physical, and they had to draw blood. And they sent me across the hall, and he was a young guy, maybe like 25, and he was rocking Alkaline Trio in his little lab coat. And he was like, hey, man, what's going on? I'm going to take some blood from you. It's going to be dope, and blah, blah, blah.
It's going to be dope.
Yeah. I was like, okay, man, that's cool. And he saw my phone. I had a sticker, like a D20 sticker on it. He's like, whoa, you play Dungeons and Dragons? And I was like, yeah, I have a podcast. He's like, oh, I've been trying to play forever. And at first I thought, is this guy just making small talk so I don't freak out when he pokes my hand, you know, like when he pokes my arm with this needle? But then he started naming, like he started talking about how he's wanted to play with his friends. None of his friends knew, so he bought the starter box.
Aw.
And he's been looking on Reddit and on Twitch and watching YouTube videos because
Oh my
he's
God.
never played before, and he's going to have to be the DM.
Oh, wow.
And
How
I'm
it
like,
happens.
and I'm like, well, you just gotta try, man. They're just your friends. You're just gonna have fun with them. Like, there's no right way, too. Like, all the rules is just, you know, a simple language for you to communicate with your friends. Like, so you guys can all stay on topic. But that's all it is. It's just like they're bullet points. Like, you don't have to play word for word. You don't have to play the game word for word.
Yeah, that's what we always try to say. It's like we provide the tools and the framework to be able to play the game how you want to be played, right? And then some of it, if it's new and you're trying to learn how to do it, you're gonna not do it exactly even the way that you want to do it, right? So it's about trying.
Yeah.
Even what you said about the 30 or 40, 20 or 30 seconds, you just got to do it, and then you can edit it as you go.
Yeah, and then maybe later, and everyone is building this, like, their tool bag, you know, their D&D tool bag where they have like, oh, I'm going to use this in my game later. I'm going to use that in my game later. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like plot twists or, you know, NPCs. It can be like how you play or how you combo stuff or how you fight or how you initiate fighting or stuff like that. Like, everyone's building this little bag of toolkit bag, and they're not taking everything. Like, no matter how good of a D&D player, you can't take everything.
Yeah.
So you're picking and choosing, and they're picking and choosing too. And I feel like people forget that sometimes, and that's how arguments happen, where people are like, this is what's really important in my tool bag. And then this person's like, well, I don't care about that, you know? But they forget to acknowledge each other. And like, yeah, sometimes it can be difficult.
And that's why it's what you said about saying like yes to people is really the secret.
Yeah. The game is going to keep going on. Like, the game doesn't stop. Like, it just keeps going. So just say yes to people's ideas, and it'll always come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it always does. Like, you can't be high status the entire time. You can't have 100% the entire time. So just be okay with like failing at little things or failing at big things, and just know that it's going to come back. Like, in that respect, D&D is life, you know?
D&D is life.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
It is.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Good advice.
So yeah, I'm excited about Rivals and how that show is going to hopefully show how easy it is to pick up. And I think streaming and podcasting in general has broken down a lot of those barriers for people. Being able to be like, oh, I don't know how to play. It's hard to just read rules and figure out how to play this game. But watching people, listening to people, that really, instructs you more than anything else.
It is. It's
Yeah,
hard
for
for
sure.
people to even visualize what it is.
Right.
Like, it was so hard to communicate to my parents.
What Dungeons and Dragons is?
There's not a board, and there's not little pieces.
And you can't win.
And you can't win.
Right.
And it kind of ends, but not really. Like, it's just your imagination.
Yeah.
But being
Yeah,
able
it's
to see it
difficult.
or hear people playing it, then we finally have a way to show them.
It's true.
This is what it is.
I mean, it's kind of like it's similar to music in a way, where could you imagine reading about what music is without ever having heard it and being like, what is music? I still don't get it.
Or just like, this looks really complicated. I can't figure this out,
Yeah.
That's really hard. And also, like, taking that music thing, like, you're going to play, like, even when you learn music, and you want to start a band, just like you want to start a campaign, a party of, like, murder hobos or whatever. There's going to be people that you ask to be in your band for that first time that you're not going to gel with,
Right.
You're going to be making music that, like, maybe this drummer isn't the guy that, you want to be playing songs with for the rest of your life or whatever. Or maybe there's other drummers that you want to try out. That doesn't make them a bad drummer,
Yeah.
It just means that they're into something a little bit different than you. They're getting something out of music a little bit different than what you get out of music. Same way they get something different out of the game a little bit different than what you get out of the game.
Right.
And that's okay.
That's very true. Yeah. That's how I almost wanted you to go back to that phlebotomist guy and be like, your friends are probably going to be awesome, but they may not be the best people to play Dungeons & Dragons with. They're probably your best friends, And
still be
that's
your
fine.
friends.
They'll still be your friends if you don't play D&D with them. But it's almost finding your D&D buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. There's plenty of people I like in real life, but I don't really like playing D&D with them.
Right. Or just a different style than yours, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, all right,
I can
they
see
like
that.
this and they like that. But there's also people who I don't necessarily care for, who I just love playing Dungeons & Dragons with.
Right?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Is that me?
It's Shelly. Shelly's the one I was talking about.
Oh yeah.
Don't really care for
1 hour
you.
a week, she's okay.
But damn, is she good around the table.
You know who the best role player is?
Pelham.
Pelham.
It's true.
It's true. Don't shake your head, Pelham.
He's back there shaking
Own
his
it.
head.
Own it, Pelham.
He is true. He impressed Nathan with his scenes.
Oh, and he impressed all of us.
He impressed all of us.
Yep.
One day he'll end up on a stream.
He should.
One day.
Yeah, put him on the stream.
Yeah, right?
He's good.
So what's, we talked about Rivals and what's coming there. What is happening next for Dungeon Rats?
Yeah, so we actually just launched our Patreon. So we've been doing a lot on there. I think we post like 3 times a week. We do behind the scenes videos. We're going to do backstories for the characters. We'll play games with you even. We'll stream games at like higher levels.
That's cool.
So we've been doing a lot of that. We've been working on a game too. So like, I can't really talk about that, but we're working on a game.
What game?
Just like a game for people to play.
Oh.
Yeah, and just we're just trying to do different things, and we've been playing we've been playing live shows now. We're playing a live show at Gen Con.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to be doing, Neon Rival's going to be doing, I think, like 8 different shows at Gen Con, panels and games and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's
great.
other stuff that I want to try. Like, I want to try, something that I'm going to try on Rivals is in-game sound effects, atmosphere, and different voices. So Aram will be the DM, and I'm basically going to play all the characters. Like, all the characters that the DM might play, I'm going to play. And how we're going to try to run it is I'm not going to know the story. I'm going to have my character sheet. I'm going to have my for all these NPCs or for the big bads, and I'm going to try to run it. We're going to try to run it as if these were real life people, and on top of having atmosphere and having sound effects, I'm going to have like a voice modulator type thing. So hopefully I can figure out all the technical issues on that.
Yeah. Well, what would that sound like if you were to try that out right now?
Yeah, that would be.
Actually, I could play that for you. Let's see.
No.
Yes.
You can call upon
Call upon
Asmodeus himself.
Channel through me.
Oh, wait. Are you doing that?
I am doing it. I am a scary voice.
That's pretty
robot.
good. That's a scary voice robot. Okay, that's good.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh my God!
Oh yes. Now I'm the one being interviewed. Yes.
Oh my God, Satan! Please stop.
So when did you start playing D&D?
When I was just a little wizard. Yes.
Oh my God, it's just so weird to see your nice smiling face and that voice coming out of you.
It's pretty creepy.
It's pretty creepy? How creepy is creepy, though? Are you saying that I'm scary in some type of way?
In a like a cute overload kind of way.
Yeah. Like you're
Cute?
just,
I'm not cute.
well,
I'm one of the fiercest fighters out here.
Gosh.
compared to all those chirping birds, yes.
How many of those birds have you slain?
I eat a bird every single night. I pick it up in drive-through, but it's deep fried, and I like it just the same.
You are badass.
That's awesome.
That is adorable.
So you're gonna be using that on the stream?
Yeah, so I figured out a way to launch all those without, a mouse where I have like a launch pad, and I'll be switching over on different sounds, switching over different atmospheres, and then hopefully sound effects as well. Like if we get into a fight, you can actually, if they take a swing, they roll to take a swing, I should have that sound effect on there too.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really
I want
gotta
to try
pay
to make it.
attention.
I want to try to make it as real as possible. I think, getting that next level would really help.
That's going to be so cool, having like a second DM who's doing voices and sound effects while producing it all at the same time.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do it.
Yeah.
I think we can. We did it. So we had done the Tomb of Annihilation podcast. We did like 6 episodes, I want to say.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Which were awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I edited those. That was probably the best work I've done. If you guys get a chance, go to Neon Rival Presents. Check out Tomb of Annihilation run that we did. It was great. It was some of my best editing work, I'll proudly say. But
that's pretty awesome. And the performances were great.
Yeah, they were great. We used Patrick and Serena play that game. They're also on Dungeon Rats, and actually they're on God's Fall. They play different characters on God's Fall too. We all play characters on God's Fall too.
See, it's this co-mingling. That's I love it.
Mingle. But so that was the first time that we played that we also have Gwen Agnew, who's a fantastic improviser. I want to get her in more things too. She definitely stole the show.
Yeah, she was the one that was the explorer, adventurer, right?
Like, she's kind of like an Indiana Jones archetype type character, but also...
But with, like Jennifer Jason Leigh from Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah. Or, but also the teacher from Harry Potter that kind of writes his own books and is kind of like...
Oh, yeah.
Time.
Yep.
She was like that character. It was great. But that was the first time that we tried out a ROM DMing and me playing the NPCs, and we got a lot of great stuff out of there. Stuff that we wouldn't have got if he was just trying to like move the story along. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, you when you're a DM, there's things that are important to you, like plot points that you want to hit or character work that you want to show. When you give it to someone else, like, you can kind of be impartial to the entire situation, or more impartial to the entire situation that way.
Yeah.
And he trusts me to do it. So yeah, we're going to do it.
Game on. I'm excited.
That sounds awesome.
We'll have more coming out about Rivals of ... soon. But you'll learn about them and see them play live at the Stream of Many Eyes. So that should be lots of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to be at Gen Con also. We got 8 shows. We're going to be doing...
8?
Yeah, there's going to be
8 live shows?
No, live shows. We're playing games and panels and doing 1 live show.
Got it. Okay.
That's a live show. We're doing an improv workshop for advanced...
that's cool.
Yeah, and it'll be focused for role-playing as well. So, like, how you game. Mm-hmm. Ways to find characters quickly, and exercises that you might do at the table, and we'll get you up there. Well, I think that one actually sold out. Actually, I don't know what I'm talking about.
That is so cool. Now I want you to live stream that.
Yeah, we will be live streaming a lot of stuff there too. I don't know if we'll live stream that. I don't know exactly how that works. Like, we have to get permission, people. I think we have to get permission from them.
Yeah, that might make sense. Or it's hard to do using like Wi-Fi from the conference room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got to figure out all that stuff, but we have that. We have a Star Trek game. We have a Never Escape Room, which it's basically kind of like an escape room mixed with like D&D mechanics. So we're going to divide people up into groups of 4. I think that we'll have like 30 or 40 people, and they'll all be going through this different parts of a map, and different doors lead to different places, and then they have to switch to another group. Hopefully one person survives, so that would be good. We're doing
fingers crossed.
Never escape. That's kind of...
I know it's in the title right there. You can probably never... No one's going to escape.
They can't be that disappointed.
Right.
We're doing this thing called Big Bad Battle Royale, where we're going to make a huge... Wow, I'm telling you guys everything. I haven't even talked to other people who are helping me with this.
Well, that's all right. Find out, won't they?
They could go to the Gen Con website and figure all that out.
Yeah.
Figure it all out. We're making a big interlocking landscape, like terrain. So basically think of the Hunger Games or Battle Royale, the movie Battle Royale, but with the monster manual. So we're going to have 10 players all playing their favorite big bads. We're going to put them in a small section of the terrain, and then as they spread out, we're going to be putting in different interlocking parts of terrain. So like there'll be a lava level, there'll be a snow level, a sand, junk, stuff like that.
Cool beans. All right, that all sounds like tons of fun. What else? And then where can people find out about what you're doing specifically, and then what Neon Rivals is up to?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Carlos Crits. You can find me Neon Rival or the Dungeon Rats, neonrival.com, thedungeonrats.com. If you search Neon Rival in the search bar at Gen Con, you can find all of our stuff. We're going to be doing a diversity panel as well. We feel that's really important to talk about. And we'll also be developing long-form narrative in RPG. So we're going to help with like world building. God's Fall will be on that. Patrick from the Dungeon Rats as well will be on that too.
Sweet. Yeah, that is one thing Aram did really well with God's Fall, was having that tapestry of myth before it even started.
Dude, do not go over to his house. He will show you all the notes on all that stuff. And it is like, it's almost as if someone like locked him in a hole for like 6 months. And I swear to God, if he didn't have paper, it'd be on the ceilings, on the walls. There'd be like little pieces of string going from one side to like he knows what his characters had for lunch 2 years ago, you know?
Oh my God.
It's like that Charlie Day thing with the red threads everywhere.
Like exactly that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, it was really good talking to you, Carlos.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, let's get excited for Stream of Many Eyes. I'll see you there personally, which would be awesome.
That'll be great.
Cool.
I will not. I'll be watching.
From Chicago. Wait,
No. No, from here.
From here. All right. Well, then darn it.
Yeah. From my desk.
From my desk, not from Naperville or whatever suburb.
Libertyville. Cute little town.
It's not even in Chicago. It's in
Well,
Wisconsin.
I know that
Wisconsin.
now.
It's in Wisconsin.
Close, close.
Thanks a lot, Carlos. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Carlos.
Sweet. That's a good guy.
I like him.
I know, really good stuff.
He's got really good tips. He needs to teach a class.
Well, the good thing that's what they're doing at Gen Con. They're going to teach them
Yeah,
stuff.
but I need to see it.
That's right. You need to go, I think.
I need to go just
No,
to
it's
go
just
to the
part of it.
class.
Nice.
No, I think that's a really cool idea. And there's so many people with an improv background that love the D and the D.
It's true. It's
Share.
like it's all of it together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much on Twitch for watching us for these 3 hours. We got 2 interviews in the bag, as well as this awesome Lore You Should Know segments. I can't wait for them to come out on the podcast form. We don't have Morning Cannon's Mayhem coming at us tonight, but we are hosting Loading Ready Run. Dice Friends, they'll be popping up very soon, if not in the next couple of minutes. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Please, if you haven't, consider subscribing to the Twitch channel. We really appreciate it. You get all the custom emotes you could possibly want, including Blame Tito, which I just realized is over there when we were doing the Lore You Should Know segments. We really love it. It puts more of a focus on what we're doing here on the streaming end of things as far as learning, teaching, and getting more people into this hobby. So spread the word. Tell people about twitch.tv/DND, and make sure you watch Stream of Many Eyes starting on June 1st at 4 p.m. Pacific time right here on this Twitch channel. We'll be streaming 3 days back to back to back. Lots and lots of hours of Dungeons & Dragons being played, and we can't wait to tell you all about the new storyline in the meantime. Thanks, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow from this here channel with Mike Merle's Happy Fun Hour.
Oh, yeah.
At 1 p.m. Pacific time. See you guys then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.